Good morning from a lovely sunny day in London. My name is Janet Wilson. I'm from Write for a Reason, and today I've got a few little tips for you about the beginning of your story. How important it is to grab your readers right from the very beginning. If you don't grab them from the very start, they may not read the rest. So it really is vital that we get them at the beginning. Here are some ideas, tips to help you to do that. The thing that I'm really trying to say is we deliberately need to set out to make our story really exciting and thrilling from the very word go, so that our readers are engaged and they want to carry on reading the rest of the story. So I've got 6 little ideas here. There's lots more tips on our website, writefораreason.com. I set up this resource for Christians who write fiction for children and young people, to give you lots of ideas and to help you make your story the best that it can be, and so that you're encouraged and you can enjoy your writing. So do pop over to there, and in the meantime, let's have a look at some ideas for a gripping start to your story. Firstly, you need to think very carefully about crafting your first sentence and paragraph. If you start off with something very banal, your readers might actually start to scan even from then. So think very carefully about what you're going to say at the start. I've got a first sentence here for you, which you might find interesting. This is from one of the Beach Bank Girls books by Eleanor Watkins. I'm doing it. I'm doing it in mirror, and I'm not doing very well. There we go. That's better. So this is a book for girls, all sorts of issues that girls face. So this book starts off with: the new year kicked off to a flying start. Christmas had been great. We'd had a fab party at Beach Bank, and the big freeze had stayed all through the holidays. And we were able to go sledging every day. And then she goes on to say some of the things that they did, which is really interesting. You think, oh, I want to know more about these girls' lives. Which brings me on to the next point, which is you really need some kind of teaser and intrigue. So you want to know, who are these girls? Why are they doing these things together? It sounds like they have a fun life, but I'd like to know a little bit more about it. So if you start off with saying this is so and so and this is so and this is their mum and dad and they're sitting in the kitchen having breakfast together, it's just not very exciting. But here you've got that little bit of intrigue. Who are they? Why are they there? What is this winter all about? And how is this going to go on? Are we going to be learning more about the winter, or is it going to be going into summer? So you've got something there. Okay, another thing that you really should have at the beginning of your story is some action. Now, back in the day when I was reading books, very often children's books would start, and adults' books too, with quite a lot of description. So the scene would be set for you to get into the book. But these days, children like to start their stories straight in. So you really need to have something exciting happen at the beginning. You can always go back and explain it, and you can fill in the details as you go along as it's relevant. But that little bit of action there is really important. So what I was saying about people sitting around the kitchen table having breakfast isn't very exciting. But if you have them doing something else, for example, you might say, this is how we found the treasure. Well, immediately people are going to think, oh, now we need to know about the treasure. So they say, something about, digging it up or something. You've immediately got a picture in your mind of children doing things, which is so much more exciting than children just sitting at a table having a conversation, especially if the conversation is a little bit boring, or there's a little bit of a spat going on. It's just not terribly exciting. It's more too much more like real life. People read a book, they want to be carried away on adventure and excitement, and you really want to put that in your book if you possibly can. So get some action in right at the very beginning, so your readers are thinking, that sounds really exciting. Another thing that would be really good to include in your book at the beginning not necessarily in the first paragraph or two, but very quickly on, you need to come to some kind of conflict. So this is sometimes called the inciting incident. If you want to look that up, you can. Don't worry about the vocabulary, it doesn't really matter. But what you want is something there that is going to mean that the story becomes a story. So perhaps a bully might trip up your girl or your young lad in the corridor at school, or put a letter through the door, or send a nasty message on social media, something like that, so you know straight away that, oh, there's going to be some conflict. Now the story has really begun. So you've got a little bit of a teaser, you've got your intrigue, you've got some action, and now there's this conflict, and now you've got your reader in, because they want to know now what is going to happen. What is going to happen to the person who is being bullied? What is going to happen to the bully? How is it going to pan out? And if you've managed to get your characters right, which are coming on to in a minute, your reader now needs to know what happens. So they will be carrying on reading. So that's another really good thing that you need to have at the beginning of your story. Okay, let's move on to emotion. Emotion, obviously, this is the difference between a report and a non-fiction book and a novel. If we're reading fiction, we want emotion in there. So we're not just reading this happened, and this happened. We need a lot of emotion as to how people are feeling. So it depends obviously on your genre and your book of what it is. It may be a humorous story, so you want to bring in something funny straight away so that they know that. If it's a drama, you may want some tension and you go, oh no, what's going to happen next? If it's a romance, you might have a little bit of, somebody feeling disappointed because a date hasn't worked out quite right, or whatever it is that is emotion that is congruent with your story, basically. Bring in some emotion at the beginning. Make your reader feel something. So like in the depths of their heart, they're thinking, oh no, yes, this is really touching their heart, and you want them to read on. You want their heart racing in some way. Obviously, as the story goes through, you're going to be building up that kind of tension and emotion. You're going to be bringing your readers up and down with these things, but bring in some kind of emotion at the very beginning that is congruent to your story. That is the important thing. And lastly, it is vital that you bring in your main character early on, and probably the very first character that we meet. This is the person that we're going to stay with through the story. This is the person that we're going to get to know. This is the person we're going to be rooting for. It's a person that we need to be feeling as if we belong with them, either that we could be them or we could be their best friend. So a person who immediately we kind of gel with. So if you can get a main character like that, of course you'll already have worked out who you're writing your story for and the age group and everything. That's absolutely vital as a prerequisite. But we're talking here about the beginning. So at the beginning of a story, have this main character that we are going to gel with. And if you manage to get all those things at the start of your story, you will have your readers thrilled and you will have a wonderful story. So don't forget, going back over the very, very basics, you must deliberately set out to grip your readers from the very beginning of your story. Craft your first sentence and your first paragraphs with great care. Bring in some teaser and intrigue. Bring in some action and some conflict, plenty of emotion, and introduce us to your main character. I hope that has been helpful. I do actually have a free mini course on the website which you can take, which is called Gripping Beginnings, and it's got all these things in and a lot more. You can go and sign up there. It's writeforareason.com/, I think it's free course. I'll put the link in below so you can go and have a look at that if you want. Lots more free tips there. I also run a writing course for Christians who write fiction for children, young people. All the details are also on the website, so do take a look at that. And I hope you found this really helpful, and I will see you again tomorrow or very soon. Bye for now.